A one-punch knockout for Carlos Prates.
Smooth, calm, violent, absolutely nasty combos. He looked like prime, young, vintage Anderson Silva to me. This dude is absolutely in the UFC.
So he ends it with some huge ground and pound, and Lord Silva in Seattle, impressive again. Mauricio Rufi with a stunning spinning kick to fell the king.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. In combination for Kaio. That's it. How about it? 13 in a row for the budding Brazilian star, Kaio, the natural Bohalho.
The Fighting Nerds camp down in Sao Paulo, Brazil is quickly becoming one of the premier MMA facilities on the planet, winning the World MMA Awards last year in 2024 for Gym of the Year. So, I decided to make a video about their top 4 athletes, Brazilian standouts Mauricio Rufi, Carlos Prates, João Silva, and Caio Silva in that order. Beginning with the unranked Rufi, before going on to the lower-ranked Carlos Prates, the slightly higher-ranked João Silva, and top-ranked contender Caio Silva. First up on the list is a potential superstar in the making, UFC lightweight prospect Mauricio de Lima Santos, better known as Mauricio Rufi. The Brazilian striker won his first 5 fights as a professional, all coming via knockout, the 5th victory of which showed him win the MFC super lightweight title, before suffering the first and only defeat of his career where he was knocked out by 3-0 Manuel Souza, who's currently 11-1 as a professional. Rufi then rebounded with a first-round knockout before entering the Centurion FC welterweight tournament, picking up another pair of knockouts up at 170 pounds. Rufi stayed at 170 pounds for his Contender Series debut where he faced 10-1 Raymond Magomed Aliyev, picking up a late third-round knockout en route to being awarded a UFC contract. Rufi faced 17-7 veteran Jamie Mullarkey in his UFC debut, impressing us all with a stunning first-round knockout. He looked so fluent, powerful, agile, and skillful in this fight, it was almost like we were watching an orthodox Conor McGregor debut all over again. And just like Conor, after securing a first-round knockout in his debut, he won a unanimous decision in his next. Rufi's coming over 14-4 James Yontop, the only non-finish of his career. Yontop is a tough dude, and he didn't make it easy for Rufi. But despite tiring as the fight went on, Rufi showed off his skill and heart, each judge awarding him 2 of the 3 rounds. This was followed up by his latest appearance when Rufi spinning wheel kick KO'd Bobby Green at UFC 313. An absolutely stunning finish over a very dangerous opponent that showed us exactly what Rufi is capable of. At 28 years of age, Mauricio Rufi appears to just now be entering his physical prime, right as we're getting to know him, and I've got to think the UFC is going to give him a ranked opponent next. Number 13 ranked UFC welterweight contender, 31-year-old Carlos Augusto Monteiro Protesz, had a much rockier start to his MMA career than any other mention on the list, but he's really been coming into his own as of late. A very, very successful Muay Thai champion with over 100 bouts under his belt, Protesz's first 16 MMA fights resulted in a 10-6 record. After winning his next 4 fights, Protesz was signed under the LFA banner, where he went 2-0 with 2 knockouts before debuting on the Contender Series. 7-0 Mitch Ramirez was his opponent, who Protesz impressively outstruck and knocked out in round 2 to gain entrance into the UFC. Since then, Protesz has gone 4-0, knocking out 16-5 Trevin Giles, 9-3 Charles Radke, 19-8 Li Jingyuling, and 29-12 Neil Magny, becoming the first man to ever knock out the Iron Chin Jingyuling, and also defeating the winningest fighter in UFC welterweight history when he beat Magny. Protesz was expected to face Jeff Neal earlier this month at UFC 314, though unfortunately Neal was forced from the bout with an injury. It's too bad, too. Could you imagine a Muay Thai champion facing the only guy to ever knock out Mike Perry or Vicente Luque? 2 straight-up Iron Chin juggernauts that knock most of their opponents out. Instead of rebooking the fight, the UFC brass decided to book Protesz against number 7 ranked Ian Garry to headline UFC on ESPN 66 on the 26th of this month. Protesz, to me, is like the welterweight Alex Pereira. Both are Brazilian kickboxing champions, both have lanky builds with expert distance management, both are as knowledgeable as it comes on the feet, and each of them just have that touch of death type of power in their strikes. Another 28-year-old knockout artist coming from the Fighting Nerds camp is number 11 ranked featherweight contender Jackson Jean da Silva. The Brazilian went 3-2 through his first 5 fights as a professional, all 3 wins coming via knockout, with 1 each a split decision and unanimous decision defeat. Silva went on to win his next 7 fights with 5 knockouts and 2 guillotine choke submissions before being called up to compete on the Contender Series. Silva defeated a very game, very talented Kevin Vallejos via unanimous decision in his Contender Series appearance, which gained him entrance into the UFC. Since then, Silva's gone 5-0, knocking out the likes of 16-8 Weston Wilson, who's actually a pretty crafty guy, 15-7-1 Charles Jourdain, becoming the first man to ever stop him with strikes, Drew Dober in a lightweight fight, 8-2 Melzik Bagdasaryan in his return to featherweight, and then he submitted 17-2 number 13 ranked Bryce Mitchell earlier this month at UFC 314, the same night Protesz was booked to fight Jeff Neal. Bagdasaryan went 9-2 as a pro kickboxer, winning the WLF welterweight title and challenging for the K1 welterweight title, and he also went 3-0 as a pro boxer. Then there's Drew Dober, who's a two-time national champion in amateur Muay Thai competition and is tied with Dustin Poirier for the most knockouts in UFC lightweight history. And then there's Bryce Mitchell, who'd gone 8-2 through 10 promotional bouts going in. His only losses coming to Ilia Topuria and Josh Emmett, a future, not former champion that vacated his belt, didn't lose it in a fight, and then a longtime top 10 contender. Not to mention, Bryce is a very high-level grappler, blending his wrestling with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt better than most, and Silva just made it look easy. João Silva is one dangerous featherweight. At 5'7" with a 69-inch reach, he's not that big for the division, but he's incredibly strong, fast, and powerful, and despite his relative small size, he still finds that range every single time. The senior-most and highest-ranked fighting nerd protege is number 6 ranked UFC middleweight contender Kaio Vinicius Silva Barraio. The 32-year-old Brazilian went 3-1 with a no contest through his first 5 professional bouts, and he's done nothing but win since. He went on to win his next 5 straight, winning the FFC middleweight title with his 8th win, before making his first appearance on the Contender Series. He won a handed unanimous decision over 10-2 Aaron Jeffrey, though didn't blow the boss away in his performance, so instead of getting a contract, he was brought back for a second time to face 8-3 Jesse Murray at light heavyweight, who he soundly stopped in the opening round, and he was now coming to the UFC at 10-1. Barraio returned to 185 pounds for his UFC debut, where he's stayed since, defeating 13-0 Gadzhi Omar Gadzhiev via unanimous decision, before doing the same to 6-1 Muay Thai champion Armen Petrosyan, and then 25-7 knockout artist Makhmud Muradov. He wasn't finishing guys, and he wasn't winning in the most fan-friendly way, but he surely was dominant. That would change in his next fight, however, when he faced 18-5 Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, a very dangerous striker with fast hands and devastating power. Barraio also took Oleksiejczuk down and controlled him on the mat, though secured a finish this time with a second-round rear naked choke victory.
UFC finish he's been looking for. The win streak is 11.
You see this now. You see this now. Put respect to my fucking name.
This was followed up by another unanimous decision win over 25-5-1 Abus Magomedov before Barraio violently KO'd Paul Craig at UFC 301. Barraio's fought one time since then, where he defeated 17-7 former title challenger Jared Cannonier, one of just 3 men to boast knockout wins in 3 different divisions. In case you were wondering, Conor McGregor and Vitor Belfort are the other 2. Kaio picked up the biggest win of his career here, dominating the top contender and nearly finishing him at the end of their 5-round fight. If you ask me, it should have been stopped. Kaio hurt Jared bad, and Jared had nothing left to give. Maybe the ref felt bad for Jared getting robbed in his last fight. Who knows? These 4 Contender Series alums have gone on one hell of a run thus far into their respective and combined UFC tenures. Barraio's gone 7-0 in the UFC to date, Protesz has gone 4-0, Silva 5-0, and Rufi 3-0, making the 4 of them a combined 19-0 in the UFC. If you include their Contender Series fights, they're a combined 24-0. What's more, Protesz and Silva each went 4-0 in the UFC last year alone. All 4 of each of their wins coming via knockout. Protesz picked up performance bonuses in all 4, and Silva was awarded a bonus in his last 3. It's incredible, and perhaps the most exciting one of them is the one we know the least about, Mauricio Rufi. A lot of people are patiently anticipating his fighting future to see how far he can take it. Of Rufi's 12 wins, 11 come via knockout with 1 decision. Of Protesz's 21 wins, 16 come via knockout, including his last 10 straight, with 3 submissions and 2 decisions. Of Silva's 16 wins, 12 come via knockout with 3 submissions and 1 decision. And of Barraio's 17 wins, 5 come via knockout with 4 submissions and 8 decisions. Rufi's only loss came in his 6th fight, 6 years ago, and he's won 7 straight since. Protesz's latest defeat came in his 16th fight, and he hasn't lost since, which was 6 years ago, and he's won 11 straight. Silva's only losses came in his 3rd and 5th fights. He hasn't lost in 7 years, and he's currently riding a 13-fight win streak. And Barraio's only loss came in his 2nd ever fight. He's won 14 straight, gone unbeaten in 17 straight, and he hasn't lost in 10 years. Not only are they combined 19-0 in the UFC, but they're on a collective 45-0 streak in total, or 47-0 with a no contest in their last 48. Do you think any of them have a chance at wearing UFC gold in the near future? That about does it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. It's free, and you can always unsubscribe later if you find the content lackluster. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.